Hi, I'm Tracy Soltis, your leading health and nutrition coach and molecular biologist. I've consulted with hundreds of people around the world on their human journey. So if you're a seeker looking for answers, information and knowledge, you'll find it here. Come on a journey with me as I explore the science, the physical body, and the cognitive and energetic space of what it really means to be human. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we're going to get straight into it. So today we're going to chat about the strategies to stop negative self-talk. Now, the reason why I'm doing this chat today is it's probably because it's the number one issue that I see with all of my clients that come into my office. These limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, the repeated cycles of internal put downs, and I want you guys to break these cycles. I want to help you move through all of this that's happening to you and put some actions in place so that you can start removing yourself from this behavior. So what's fundamentally clear to me is that there's obviously many people out there practicing mantras and affirmations, and whilst they're all beautiful and definitely great mindfulness practices, if we have cycles of negative self-talk that keep coming up over and over again, we have to get to the core of what's really going on, and that is the way that we move forward. Hopefully that resonates with you guys, because look, I have mantras up in Charlotte's room and everything, but I'm very conscious of making sure that if there is any self-doubt or anything that's coming up for her or for me or for my hubby, that we actually get to the core of what's going on so that we can break those cycles. And it's important to understand that negative self-talk is very detrimental to your overall well-being, okay? It doesn't serve you at all, okay? It's fundamentally damaging on all three areas of the self, and that's obviously your mind, your physical body, and your energetic space, okay? And so the reason why I wanted to chat about this at the beginning of the year and set you guys up is because there's something psychological about the new year. Okay, there's something about January that implies freshness, especially if you're living in the Southern Hemisphere. So, you know, it's summer here, we're happy, it's bright, we're going out lots, we're socializing, we've just spent amazing time with our family or friends. And it really reignites that sense of self and gives us a bit more perspective in general. And that's because we've had time to spend with other people as well. It's an opportunity for us to reset, and it's a time where you can have a break, you can come into the new year, and hopefully you're going to have plans to break some old habits. Okay, so if you're like me at the beginning of the year, okay, here we go. You know, I've bought my diary, I'm planning myself out. I've got my routines established. Yes, that's me. I can't help it. But that's how I know that I get my happiness in there. I get my self-care in there. I'm looking after myself because I want to be in a space where I'm giving the best of myself to my family and to my workspace. And by doing, establishing routines and working on, having a plan in place, make sure that I'm setting myself up to succeed. And you can listen to that in another episode that's recently been recorded as well about how you can succeed this year. 3 strategies for that as well. So if you haven't bought a new diary, yes, and I'm old school, I do have a written diary. Actually, for those of you who are watching, because obviously this is on video as well, I'm going to show you, see? I have a big diary. So, and look, a very quick little weekly planner, which I won't show you what's on there because some of it could be confidential. So we'll just show you like that. But yes, so I plan my time out, and you have to know what's going on, because you have to make sure that you're prioritizing self-care as well. Okay. Far too often we go, okay, I'm going to plan my time out, and these are all the things that I'm doing, do, and there's no stopping. Okay. So you have to plan time for stopping as well. But let's go back to the topic. Let's talk about negative self-talk, okay? And there's 2 separate issues here. There's externalization and there's internalization, okay? And what does that look like? Okay, so let's start with externalization. And so perhaps you are like over this holiday period, you've caught up with lots of family and friends. Okay. So you're hanging out and you're chatting. And so you're having discussions with other people and you might receive a compliment. Okay. Beautiful. That's like opens your heart, makes you feel really good. But your reaction is that you instinctively place a negative spin on the compliment. Okay. Now, you might get a compliment from a friend who says, wow, you're looking really good. You look really amazing. But then you say, yeah, thanks. But, I haven't done any exercise and I've been eating rubbish and I don't know, I just feel a bit bleh. So there's two things that have happened there. Okay. So this now not only means that you haven't received the positive energy coming your way, but you've also taken away the positive energy that person has gifted you. So I want you to understand the psychology of this and what happens in relationships. Okay, so a person who gives you a compliment is giving of their energy to you. They're giving you that positive frequency, those positive vibrations into your space, and in the hope that you will receive that information. But when you don't, you're creating a negative kind of feedback loop. Okay, so their gift hasn't been received, and you haven't received that positivity, which will increase your vibration. Okay, you've downplayed that, and that can be quite detrimental, not only to yourself but onto others as well. And because most of us, we like to make people happy, I want you to think about it in those terms as well of, when someone gives you a compliment, even if you don't feel it, even if your initial instinct is negative or you're having an internal situation that feels negative, accept the information that is coming your way, especially if you've got people that are giving this to you from a well-intended space. It's important to be open to receive that information. Okay, so another thing that happens is also comparison to others, or a sense of not achieving what someone else does. Okay, we all do this. We all compare ourselves to others. And this might come through an externalization of putting someone else down because we're feeling internally triggered or hurt. Okay, so comparisons to others are engaging in activities where we're in a down-putting conversation with another person is a form of deflecting our negative feelings about others. Okay, so when you do this, when you verbalize something, you're putting this energy, you're putting this frequency and these vibrations out into the world, and you're potentially setting yourself up for negative feedback loops. Okay, I'm sure you know many people out there who, how they say, they get into these kind of cycles of going, why is this happening to me? And why do all of the bad things happen to me? And that's karmic feedback loops. Okay, that's a real thing. When you're putting out negative frequency, you're going to get negative frequency back. Okay, and we want to break those cycles. We don't want to have negative vibrations coming your way. We want to make sure that you're having positive vibrations coming your way. But you have to understand that everything works in equilibrium and balance. So when you're putting these things out, you're going to receive those things back. All right, so internalization. Let's have a chat about that. So when things don't go our way, we put ourselves down. Oh, I see this so much, and it's so heartbreaking because there's such beautiful people, and so much to give and so much to offer, but we worry about the level of which we offer things. We worry about what we're contributing. We worry that we're not enough, and we put ourselves down, and it's heartbreaking. And so that's an internalization that happens within ourselves sometimes, And so when things are challenging as well, when we're going through a really tough time, when the energy of the universe is really firing at us and we think that we just aren't enough. And I see that all the time, people in burnout or overwhelm or have been through, consecutive traumatic events in their life, and it feels as though the universe is just against them. And I mean, how many times have we said that to ourselves? I feel like the universe is just against me. And it's things are challenging. The universe is testing you, okay? It's giving you an opportunity to explore what's going on. It's giving you an opportunity to change cycles. But the thing is that when it beats us down, we can think that we're not enough. Okay. And so one of the most common issues I see in my clinic, so actually there's 4 that I've got here. There's, people doubting their abilities. Okay, so they're second guessing themselves. They're thinking that they're in a job, or they're in a service, or they're giving to others, and they're doubting their abilities to shine, or what they've got to actually give to others. And that doesn't necessarily mean career or purpose. That could be in life and relationships as well. So they're doubting themselves. Okay. The other thing I see in my clinic is that people don't have support around them to succeed. Okay, so we're trying to do all of the things, but we are doing them all by ourselves. Okay, we don't reach out to other people. We think that we can do everything alone, that we have to do everything alone, because if we don't, we're weak, we're failures, and that's just not the way the experience is supposed to go, and that's completely untrue. So what happens is that people don't have support around them. Okay, another thing, people feel like they have too many things on their plate and they feel like failures. Okay, let me tell you, you've only got a certain number of minutes in a day. You've only got a limited amount of energy at any one time. If you are constantly filling your life with so many things to do, you're setting yourself and sabotaging yourself for failure. That's what happens. And it's a psychological cycle that we consistently put ourselves through, because we're so scared to step into our purpose and to shine and what that might mean, because we have to take that leap of faith, that we put so many other things and so many obstacles on that path that we just set ourselves up for failure. And that's when we say, why is this happening to me? And why can't I do all of these things? It's because we're not living in a true, authentic space. Okay. Now, that brings me to my last one, is that people not living their purpose, or going against what feels normal and then wondering why it's not working, that there must be something wrong with them. And this, again, I see this all the time, is people living a life where they're just going through the motions and they're not living through their purpose. And there's many reasons for that. Maybe the opportunities haven't presented themselves. Maybe they have come on hard times, and so they've been through lots of traumatic events, and so they just haven't had any breathing space to actually work out what that is. Sometimes, but majority of the times, it comes from letting go of all of the things that we think that we need or we should have, and actually stepping into what we know is right. So actually going from a mindset into a heart-knowing soul space. And that's a really big plunge for people to take, because leading with the heart is a gamble in many ways. We always worry that we're going to get it wrong and that we're not going to have any fallback. But when we take that leap of faith and we do something that we're here to do, this is where we shine. Okay, so what are the consequences of negative self-talk? Let's talk about that. Okay, so the consequences, there's 3 fundamental areas that I talk about quite frequently. The triangle, it is the mind. So obviously your cognition, your cognitive space, your thoughts, everything that happens within the mind and the conscious, subconscious self. Your energetic frequency, okay, so that is the energetic field that you give off. You have an electromagnetic field. You cannot see it. Some people can see it. Some people can't see it. You have it. It's there. It's how people know your mood when you walk in a room, okay? It's how people engage with you or know, conversation-wise, what they can go to, what they can't move towards, okay? So your energetic space is very important. It's just as important as your cognition, okay? And your physical body, okay? Because it's made of mass, we can see it, we can touch it, we know it's real. Okay, these are the 3 fundamental areas and elements that make us up as a human. And so when one of these areas is negatively impacted, it does affect the other 2 spaces. Okay, so when we're negative in our mind, our energetic frequency lowers, doesn't it? Straight away. We know when not to go near someone who's giving off vibrations of danger, anger, any sort of fear. Like, we don't go near them. We don't move to them. That's our body that energetic field that extends out and tells us to be wary of the person that's in front of us. Okay, we instinctually know it affects our environment. It affects those around us, and people don't want to be around us because we're actually giving off this low vibration. Okay. The physical body is is obviously the one thing that you can take more notice of because you can see it, you can touch it, you know it's there. Okay. But people don't necessarily listen to their body. Okay. So when you're having a negative reaction and you're repeating a cycle, the physical body will start acting out. And this is usually through pain and inflammation. So you might get tummy aches, you might start getting heart palpitations, you might start getting sore shoulders, you might start getting headaches. It all comes out in a physical way to make you take notice. So if you're experiencing any of these things, I recommend and I would encourage you to really start looking inward and see what's going on with your body, because you've got mind, energy, and physical body that are all being affected by these negative thought processes that happen. All right. So anyway, let's get to the actions that you can take, because what I really want to do, and I've got a lot here of how you can change your behavior, because we want to change this. We want to set ourselves up for success. We want to be feeling positive and feeling better about ourselves. But then when we do have negative experiences happen, it's great to have some tools and strategies that you can use, that you can go back to, so that you can start implementing some change and move away from that negative experience. So what are the fundamentals when it comes to negative self-talk? And if you are in a space at the moment where you're able to grab out a pen and paper, a journal, I'm going to have some of these things written in the podcast, like the episode description anyway, but this might be an opportunity for you to actually reflect while we're talking through this and take some notes. Okay, so working out where your negative self-talk comes from. What is it? Where did it start? When did it start? Why are you repeating the same cycles of negative self-talk? Okay, what has happened? And really reflecting on that. And that might be difficult, okay, because when we have to step into a space of truth and take accountability, this can be very difficult for some of us. It can trigger trauma and pain. Okay, so if you're not quite ready to go there yet, that's okay. What I would suggest is making sure, again, let's go back to support, okay, and making sure that we have support, is that if you need to reach out to other people, family, friends, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, healthcare providers, do those things, okay, because let's get to the base of it. Let's get to the real foundation of why this negative self-talk happens, okay, and what's triggering it. What interactions are you having that are actually triggering these negative responses? Okay, so as soon as we become more aware of them, we're able to work on them. When we ignore them or we're not aware of them, it makes it really difficult for us to start moving forward. So I would really encourage you to actually take a step back and to, when you are having an interaction with someone else, to actually pinpoint the moment that you feel a negative response. You might say something without even realizing it, and it comes out and you go, wow, okay, that's it. Where did that come from? You might have an internal physical response. Your heart might drop, feel like it's dropping. Your stomach might drop. You might start getting tummy pains. Pinpoint when that happens and what part of the conversation actually triggered that response. Okay, so the number one thing is to turn inwards. It is the best way that we can start working through some of these things. And there's some questions that you can ask yourself. So are you living your purpose? Are you living your potential in this life? Okay. Doesn't mean you have to do all of the things. Okay. There is something here that you are meant to do. What is it? Okay, let's sit with that. If you don't know what that is, it doesn't matter. The best way to start doing that is starting to create a life full of joy and happiness and doing things that you love, because then your purpose will start coming to you. The moment that you make that change, the moment that you start putting out these inquiries and questions to the world, you will get responses if you're doing it from a heart-centered space. Okay, another question to ask yourself. So are you repeating past habits and cycles that are detrimental to your health? Yes, are you? Yeah. Okay. So are you not forgiving yourself when you fall off the path? This is going to happen a lot to people over Christmas and New Year, right? How badly did our diets all get thrown out the window over Christmas? Mine did, absolutely. But you know what? At the end of the day, what did I gain from the Christmas period? Joy, happiness, time with other people, heart connection, soul connection, enjoyment of food, and just loving my life. Now that I'm back at work and, the new year started, I know I need to get back on the path, but I'm not holding on to anything that's happened over that time. Okay. Because that was all part of the human journey as well. So are you forgiving yourself? So when certain things happen to you, or you're having a negative self-talk, it's time to forgive. It's time to forgive yourself. Okay, that's in the past. You're now in the present moment. You have an opportunity to make a change. You have an opportunity to break the cycle right now, and it starts with forgiveness. Okay, the other thing too to question yourself on is, are you setting yourself expectations that are simply unrealistic or too high? This is a form of self-sabotage. Okay, if we have expectations of ourselves, or we think that we have to do all of the things or be amazing at all of the things, that's not possible. There is no one out there in the entire universe that is amazing at all of the things. Okay, because then you have to define what is amazing to start with. And I bet they are so burnt out and so exhausted and so drained of trying to live up to those expectations, it does not last forever. It's just not possible. So are you setting yourself up to really hurt yourself by having expectations that are just too high or simply unrealistic as well? Okay, hopefully that's caused you to have a bit of self-reflection. So now we're going to talk about how you can change this behavior. So I've got 8 things here. So I'm going to get through them because I really wanted to give you guys as much information as possible so that you can really start making a proper and well-structured change. So how can you do that? Okay, so number 1, take more care with your wording that you're using during conversation with others. Okay, that means that you need to be present with the person and not distracted. So if you're not able to do this right now, if you don't have the capacity to catch up with a friend and be present with them because you're distracted, then you need to practice self-care, you need to honor yourself, and you need to take time out. So you can do that in really nourishing and helpful ways. You don't have to do or say yes to every single invitation you receive. No one can do that, right? So when we're engaging with friends, and if they're really important friendships to us and we don't want to let them down, we need to communicate where we're at, and we need to tell people an end point as well so that they know that that relationship is important to us, but that we need time out and that we're going to come back to them. Okay, so honoring yourself and practicing self-care, and please go and check out some of the other episodes about what self-care is, because it's not just mindfulness and meditation. There's thousands of other ways that you can practice self-care, things that are applicable to you and resonate with you, okay? But it comes down to honoring yourself and being present with those that are around us, because when we're more present, we're more aware of the speech and we're more aware of what we're actually saying to people when we're interacting with them. All right, number 2, if you receive a compliment, take it, okay? Take it and believe that it's true. Okay, if you have surrounded yourself with truthful and sincere people, there's no reason to doubt that compliment has come from a beautiful place of love. So accept it, take it for what it is, and absorb that energy into your heart space. All right, number 3, understand that you are like no other person in this whole world. You are not. Okay, so comparing ourselves to others is just a complete waste of energy, and it's an unnecessary task. Okay, there comes a point when we have to surrender to the fact that we are an individual being. Yes, that is alone. An individual being walking through this journey with a huge abundance of experience, knowledge, wisdom, unlike any other person here. Okay, what are some of the things that you offer to this world? And I guarantee you, if you really reflect on that, there are so many unique and beautiful talents that you offer and you don't even realize it. Okay, you need to find out what those are. We are not meant to be amazing at everything. I have said that so many times through this episode, but we're just not. So work with your gifts, share those with others, okay? But sit with that. And if you don't know what that is yet, it's time to start doing things that you love to do, and that will come to you, I promise you. All right, number 4. Surround yourself with people that share your values, morals, and beliefs. Absolutely. Okay. We don't want to be around toxic interactions. Okay. So if you've surrounded yourself with people who care about you and want the best for you and want to bring out the gifts that you have to share, you need to remove these toxic people and remove yourself from any toxic situations. Those sort of interactions are very detrimental to the 3 fundamental elements that I explained to you earlier on, okay? And sometimes this takes time for us to recognize that we're in a toxic relationship. I'm not talking romantic, I'm talking any sort of relationship. It might be the one we have at work. It might be with other people that we associate with. It might be clubs that we've joined. It might be just friendships. It's not just romantic, it's situational. It's all of the interactions that we're having. And so if there is something that is repeating a cycle and you're starting to go from low energy and mindset and it's starting to have physical consequences, we have to assess that and see if that's something we need to get rid of. Okay. So number 5, practice self-care. Okay. Make it a priority in your life every single day. It doesn't need to be a long drawn out thing. It just needs to be like, for 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to sit with myself and see what my needs are. Like, what do I need right now? Like, I just need to sit in silence and stare at the clouds. That I'm literally looking out my window. But it doesn't have to be a massive task. It doesn't have to be a huge event. You don't have to go and get massages and have an hour-long bath and all of those things. It's checking in with yourself and seeing what you need in this very present moment, okay? Because you are a unique individual and you need to work out what works for you and how you can best work with what your needs are as well. All right, so number 6, removing external chatter that's toxic. Okay, this is a big one. Social media, Instagram influencers, news, things that trigger traumatic responses or negative energetic feelings. Okay, until you can manage and until you're in a space where you can change that situation and you can hold it external to you and not absorb that energy inwards, then you need to completely remove that from your life at this point in time. It doesn't mean long term, it just means maybe a short term fix. Okay, so turn off the social media, turn off the phone at night time, set yourself up so that you're having good night's sleep. Okay, a lot of negativity comes from people not having a good night's sleep as well. It's so crucial to your health. And I talk a lot about sleep and in other episodes, and maybe we'll do another episode on that coming up shortly on how important not just having sleep is, but the way that your body from a biological perspective operates when you're actually sleeping at nighttime. So if you're not catching up on your sleep or you're not having good sleep, all of your body is being impacted by this. There's certain toxins that aren't being taken out of the body. There's a whole heap of hormones that aren't being released. You know, it's a big picture thing. So get a good night's sleep. And it is when we're cycling these like negative thoughts, it's hard to get a good night's sleep. So turn off the socials, turn off the news, turn off the things that are triggering any sort of traumatic responses or negative feelings. Number 7, create a space of happiness within yourself and your environment. So make your home a place where you want to be. I mean, happiness doesn't come from having stuff. It doesn't come from things, okay? It comes from deep inner self-love and love for the beings that are around us, okay? That's true happiness. That's, creating a space that you want to be in. If you don't want to be in your home because you've got a pile of stuff everywhere and you want to clean it all out, just clean it all out, get rid of it. Make your place so happy and so full of joy. It doesn't mean you have to have stuff. Actually, removing stuff makes you happier. You will find that if you clear out the clutter, you are going to feel so much better. Number 8, remember that a thought is not a fact. Okay, so simply thinking something doesn't make it true. How How does that resonate with you, right? So how many thoughts do we have racing through our head every single day, 24/7, right? All of those thoughts are not factual, okay? A lot of it is just unnecessary chatter. And so when we get caught up in these cycles of negative self-talk, we have to remember, is that a truthful fact or is it actually just rubbish? A majority of the time, it's rubbish, okay? Get rid of it. It's not real. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't serve you. You're not even listening to it, okay? So hopefully this chat has kind of given you a little bit more information on some of the things that you can do and the actions that you can take so that you can start clearing out some of this negative energy that you might be operating on at the moment. Okay, so what are some of the ways that you can manage your negative self-talk? These aren't the only ways. These are just a few of the ones that I can get through in 30 minutes so that you guys, aren't listening to me forever. But maybe there's other ways that you can manage your self-talk as well. What are they? Okay, what are some of the things that you can help yourself to move through some of these things? How can you make your life more abundant? Okay, how can you fill it with more love? How can you fill it with more kindness and compassion for yourself and for other people as well? Okay, so that is all, everybody. I hope that you've taken away something from this conversation. And again, I say this at the end of every episode, is that I know that there will be people out there who would love to hear this information or who need this information. Okay, they need this to start their journey. They need this to get themselves back on the right path and get the motivation that they need to start triggering some more positive responses. And so don't forget to share that with your family or your friends. And if you have loved everything that I've said, or maybe you've only loved some of it, but you still love it, maybe you can leave me a 5-star review, because that would be amazing. And I would love that so much, because I love sharing this with you guys. And it brings me so much fulfillment and joy and positivity as well. And so if you have resonated with this, please make sure that you leave a review, and that would be great. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you next time. See ya.
The information, views and opinions expressed on this podcast should not be used or treated as a substitute for nutritional, medical, psychological or other advice by a qualified medical health professional. Hosts and guests on the podcast express their own opinions, experiences and conclusions. And nothing on the podcast should be used to diagnose, treat, cure or prevent any medical conditions. The podcast is not intended to replace any medical or mental health treatment. All information and advice provided is for general well-being and does not take individual cases into consideration. Neither Tracy Saltis, guests on the podcast, or any sponsors endorse the opinions, views or conclusions expressed or shared on the podcast. Tracy Saltis takes no responsibility for any symptoms or consequences as a direct or indirect result of this podcast.